Omnius supports insurance with their AI solution for claims automation, seamless integrating this solution into existing claim systems, while automating processes and reducing cost. Today, they will show together with Unica how they partnered on claim automation and what the business impact has been. Not only resulting in sustainably cutting cost, but simultaneously also improving customer experience and drastically increasing customer satisfaction. Please welcome to the stage, Omnius with Unica.
Good morning.
Hello everyone.
My name is Martin Mikko. I'm CCO and founding member of Omnius, and I'm honored to be here with Andreas.
I'm Andreas Niemet. I'm managing partner of Unica Ventures. But today I'm actually stepping in for our head of claims, Erwin Griesel, who was the key business partner at Unica, working together with Omnius.
Thank you very much. Before I start, I have to admit that I'm very happy of Isabel's presentation. She was speaking a lot about, I heard empathy, about being closer to the customer, phygital, if I remember correctly. And at the very end, what it means to me is, an enabled human being closer to the customer and being able to help in the moment of truth. So it's all about technology helping to be closer to the customer, and that's basically what Omnius is all about. But before I explain, how our technology, how our platform works, allow me to quickly touch upon, why do customers today work with us and what do they want to achieve whilst collaborating with Omnius? And then at a later stage, we're going to touch upon how does this apply to Unica and what could we already achieve at Unica. Now, first and foremost, customers are still struggling to take out cost when it comes down to claims management and claims operation. If you're a head of claims management today, squeezing out another 0.5 or 1% of your operational process is increasingly difficult. Now, because of the fact that with the help of AI, we are able to automate, to a large extent, very many human steps within the claims process, we've proven in numerous business cases that we can take out somewhere between 25 to 35% of the operational costs. Now, the beauty of that is that at the same time, and that's the contradiction, the game changer to the past, this has no impact on customer satisfaction in a negative way, but in a very positive way, because customer satisfaction is going up, as well as employee satisfaction. Customer satisfaction simply because our platform operates 24/7, and customer gets a nearly real-time feedback on, here is your claims number, and by the way, these information pieces are still missing in order to successfully close your claim, number one. But employee satisfaction, most important, because our platform and our technology helps claims adjusters, to be relieved by repetitive, cumbersome tasks, and really be here as a human being in the moment of truth when the claim hits the fence, and the policyholder really needs help. All of that with the side effect that there's also an impact on leakage, in the sense that whenever we introduce our platform, we see that there's a lot of room for interpretation and room for the claims adjuster to decide whether left or right, and that's why we introduce an AI governance structure right at the very beginning in order to make the platform behave always identical with similar type of circumstances. Now, all of that said, most customers still come to us and say, Martin, please help us to take away burden from our teams and at the same time getting in control of the costs. Now, how do we do that? Basically, our platform comes with three main things that combine aspects that typically insurers are struggling with, which is combining deep domain understanding with technology. And deep domain understanding is claims management, and claims management is complex. That is not something easy to resolve, as well as technology. And IT departments were really pushed hard the last 20 years, to keep the machine running at lower costs. And that's why intrinsically in our technology, we've combined domain understanding with state-of-the-art technology. And domain understanding comes what we call reference claims processes. So we've seen so many claims processes in so many insurers all across Western Europe and North America that in the meantime, we can put from day one onwards a reference claim process for each line of business and peril on the table, and we can immediately engage with our clients and say, well, where do you live this process in a different way, and what is unique to your process? And this reference process come at the same time with pre-trained AI models and rule engines that take the decisions along those processes. And our AI modules go into depths like verification of whether a bicycle has been locked when it got stolen, or at the same time something like, what's the size of the glass table when it got broken, because both examples are of relevance whether there's coverage or not. Now, combining domain knowledge with technology, and the examples I just brought outlines that there is a need also to understand the underlying rules of engagements. And these rules of engagement are defined in policies, products, where you will also find limits and deductibles. And that's where we need access to with what we call master data. And we are highly flexible, on the one hand, with existing connectors into one of our partner environments, such as with connectors into a Guidewire, with a connector into Sapiens, SAP, and others. But 70% of our clients, such as Unica, still use legacy applications. And we then are very flexible with RPA tools and other examples and other ways in order to integrate smoothly, quickly, in order to elevate the overall business case. And that's in a nutshell what we do, and we can break this down into line of business, into peril, and for each line of business and peril, we know for each single step within the claims process, what is the information required, what is the decision that needs to be taken, and we come with our technology in order to do that for each single step within the process. Today we focus mainly on high volume, low severity type of claims, because here the business case is by far the largest, and the business benefits can very quickly be elevated and nurtured. At the same time, we differentiate between straight-through processing, so pushing the claim from the very beginning till the very end without any human touch. But at the same time, at a specific moment of the entire claims process, there might be a situation that there's information missing, or there's information contradictory within the claim, as we all know. Well, then we push a recommendation to the claims adjuster that we call next best action, and the claims adjuster can make a decision from which onwards we automate for the rest. In any case, the business case is calculated on both sides, the straight-through processing, so without any human intervention anymore, as well as the semi-automation, because even in a semi-automation, we in average can reduce the manual time and workload by 50 to 70%. So it's the combination of the two that, in a nutshell, defines the overall business case. And out of the box, for the mentioned lines of business, in this high volume, low severity type of area, we typically can generate straight-through processing rates of somewhere of 50 to 55%, so half of the claims do not have to be touched by a human anymore. About a third we push into semi-automation, so a next best action, and typically there's always 10 to 15% that will always remain manual, simply because of complexity and because of our governance introduced. And that is, in a nutshell, in average, our engagement and how we move into our collaboration with our clients.
So when we learned at Unica about Omnius, we definitely were excited from the first moment, because I think that what already has been shared so far, actually improving, automating claims management processes, can actually lead to two outcomes for insurers. Actually improving efficiency, saving costs, but at the same time, and I think that's the very special thing about digitization, we can also delight our customers by speeding up processes, by actually giving their first notice of loss, giving them actually feedback within seconds, not within days. And I think, this is a very appealing story, but how to make that happen? How to change a company which is 200 years old, which is having 20,000 people at service of 15 million customers in Central Eastern Europe. So to give you a bit of a perspective on that, I want to explain about the story and what we've done at Unica together with Omnius. So Unica is a Central Eastern European multi-line insurance company. We have 6.5 billion in top line. We're serving 15 million customers, but our core market is Austria. This is actually where the company was founded 211 years ago. So we have a top line of roughly 4 billion in Austria, serving healthcare products, motor insurance, property, as well as life insurance. But when we teamed up with Omnius, definitely the focus was on the property claims management side, and we actually have 1.9 billion of revenues here, and paying out 1.3 billion of claims, actually almost 400,000 claims cases per year. And this is actually done by an organization with almost 500 people. And I think the main challenge also, if you think about bringing digitization to a company that is 200 years old, actually changing, and this is a big change project, honestly, change 500 people's processes, mindsets. We actually had to think of a process and a model to go about this change together with Omnius. And I think actually this is also why we actually dared to really restart that process, because we were very aware of the big challenges that we would also face. And if we turn the page maybe to these main challenges, what are they? So definitely, and it has been said before, we are having a very old legacy IT landscape still. We are changing, we are replatforming, but we actually decided not to wait for the new platform to be implemented, but just to right away start with automation of claims, still using the old core legacy IT systems. I've mentioned that there are 500 people. They are not in one location, but they are spread actually over 4 locations, 2 in Austria, another one in the Slovak Republic, where it's actually our central claims management center for multiple countries. We have a head office in Vienna, and actually they work on very complex processes to serve the customers. So I think the process landscape was also a challenge that we had to consider. And it's not only about bringing in new technology, but also about changing processes firsthand. We have a limited cost budget. We are a medium-sized company. We are facing also inflationary pressure on the cost side. So I think that's also a given, which is definitely to be considered when investing in new technology. And I think it's all about people again. We also have a very old workforce, a lot of people retiring, and how to actually maintain the knowledge of these claims handlers is also a big challenge, because replacing claims managers, training them, training takes a lot of time. It's a lot of efficiency loss, actually, if you lose good people on that process. So I think that was also to be considered when doing that. And almost, not last, but definitely not least, I think we were also aware that our customers' expectations have pretty much changed over the past years. People are becoming more and more impatient. They are not expecting to wait 2 or 3 days for a reply, but they are really, if they call us, they want to have immediate feedback. So I think these were all the challenges, and just to set the scene a bit, what happened at Unica before we actually teamed up with Omnius, we were actually facing situations where there were mounting claims, especially during summertime, during vacation time. We had a lot of backlog, and this was also one of the key challenges that we definitely wanted to overcome by automating processes and speeding up things. So but these are the challenges we are actually also wanted, but these were a given, but what we actually wanted to achieve together with Omnius is not only speed up things, fully, rapidly automate the processes, but definitely also to save costs. Because there was actually a business plan right away from the very beginning that we've been working on with Omnius, because every investment, every new technology investment also needs to have a certain return, and working on that business plan and how to actually bring down costs, how to lower personnel expenses, and how to actually set this framework of delivering an ROI was definitely one of the key objectives. Secondly, we had this old IT legacy infrastructure. It was a very key objective at first, that Omnius needs to be integrated well in the current framework, interact and interconnect with all the existing systems. And last but not least, definitely, we also want to delight our customers. So I think that was definitely the challenges and objectives we gave to Omnius before we started the project.
And that's where we met in mid of last year, where we then defined with our standardized MVP-driven approach, well, how can we help Unica with this legacy heritage, with their path to the next core insurance platform in parallel to their ongoing operation. And with our MVP-driven approach, what we do typically is within a very short time frame, and typically it's somewhere between 6 to 12 weeks, without any IT integration, we deploy a customized, optimized process in our SaaS platform that allows our customer to measure directly the impact that we can generate from day one onwards. So in this very specific context of Unica, we defined 2 use cases, one being the automated claims file creation across basically P&C, which was only the step number 1 of the entire value chain. But at the same time, we chose tap water, end-to-end claims automation, so from the very beginning F0 onwards until payout at the very end. So these 2 use cases were defined, and within 12 weeks, we deployed those 2 use cases in our SaaS platform, as mentioned, without IT integration. We can simulate that very easily on our side, but derive at the same time all the automation and semi-automation numbers that are required in order to calculate the business case. Because at the very end, I mean, only a business case really justifies an investment of that size. And that's what we did in mid last year with MVP, with these 2 MVPs. We calculated the business case that turned out very positively. And then the decision was made in third quarter to move these MVPs into production. So the MVPs that we deploy are not lost. Basically, they are production ready, and what is required only is then the integration of our SaaS platform into the IT environment of our clients, which happened then within third quarter, beginning of fourth quarter, and by 2nd of December last year, we went live, and since then we're operational, we optimize, expand, and add additional channels as well as additional lines of business. And that's the beauty of this type of approach. It's not a big bang thing as we used it in the past, the big projects. Our deployment comes one step after the other. It's parallelizable. It takes out risks. It allows the customer to measure our performance, and we are remunerated on a performance basis. So we share the pain as well as we share the gain, and that's what real partnership is all about. And at that moment, I really have to thank, on the one hand, Andreas, but the entire claims team, which has become an intrinsic element also of my company, which I think is very beautiful, and that's where we grow together and make our customer successful together with ourselves. And with that said, so we are now in production with the first use cases, and in parallel, we are currently training additional MVP modules that will go into production throughout the course of this year, as well as next year. And in order to give you a little bit of a context, well, what does this mean in numbers? And I'm proud that Unica allowed us to share this number in public. So the first use case, as mentioned earlier, which was automated claims file creation, which is not rocket science, but still for Unica it was a main pain because there was a large double-digit number in a service center working exclusively on that topic. So for the automated claims file creation, we achieve straight-through processing rates of more than 70%. So these claims do not need to be touched for the claims file creation anymore. Customers did not change anything. They are not even aware. They send emails, they send faxes to Unica, and in the background we do our job, create the claims file in the underlying legacy application, and then the whole thing keeps on flowing. And on top of that, we are currently in pilot phase, end-to-end straight-through processing, so no human touch from the very beginning till the very end with unstructured data for the first use cases, which is legal insurance, vehicle insurance, minor claims, and electrics insurance, where we show performances of 74, 80% plus. No human touch anymore. In order to put things into correlation to the numbers I've shown earlier, well, these are for us fairly simple cases. If we go more into car collision, into household glass, household tap water, we will go back to the 50-55% of straight-through processing, but for the time being, the customer is extraordinarily happy because it takes away burden, it relieves the team currently in place, which is under pressure, as Andreas outlined nicely, because there's too much job for them to do. And at the same time, now they are relieved in order to help the customer, similar to what Isabel said earlier, really in this moment of truth, which is so important for most of our clients as we speak.
And maybe let me highlight some very important considerations here. I mean, you see these very impressive figures here of our automation levels reached. As Martin said, this is really freeing up even more time of our most experienced claims adjusters to better serve the customer, to look for the very complex cases, to reduce backlog, or actually to move to a level where we always have no backlog anymore. So I think this is not only relieving a lot of, or putting away a lot of pressure from our people in the claims management department, it makes them really proud. Yeah? I mean, just to automate it. And I think it's very important to be mentioned, this is all based on unstructured data. There were no structured data inputs required for getting to as much as 80% automation level, just by using the technology Omnius has in place. It's just from inbound emails, boss mailings, and so on. So unstructured data extraction is taking place, very high level accuracy and high level of automation.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andy.
So, and I also have to share that before we teamed up with Omnius, we also had systems in place, they didn't even reach a 50% automation level. So I think that's really making a huge difference also in terms of return on investment and business case profitability.
And to put things also in perspective, I mean, especially last year in summer, with all the floods and storms that hit Europe throughout August, we had a lot of inbound calls coming in, simply because many insurers didn't know how to cope with this big volume of elementary claims coming in. And the beauty of our approach is that our platform always consistently conducts every single step of the insurance-specific verifications, including coverage check, completeness check, everything. So the quality is not dependent upon volume, and we just increase the bandwidth of our servers and still do the same high-level quality of verifications as usual. And that makes the whole case also highly appealing for insurers that are impacted by this type of elementary incidents. Now, if we put this on a roadmap of where do we currently stand, well, we are live with a claims file creation. I already mentioned the first 3 ones that are going live as we speak, in fact. And throughout the next couple of months, we're going to add, in addition to those, end-to-end straight-through processing without human touch, where possible, elementary tap water, glass breakage, and fire, and we're going to be live with those until year-end, wherever required, wherever wanted, and human touch is then going to be used wherever wanted by our client. And I think that's the paradigm change today, that in the past, the topic of straight-through processing was predominantly a question of, well, can technology deliver? And now it has reversed. It's the other way around in saying, well, you as a managers of your insurance, where do you want human touch still to occur? And where do you allow a machine to take the decision? And that will be a defining moment, because I'm very much convinced that in the future, similar to other industries, insurers will be able to differentiate themselves in the way how they live a claims process and how the brand is being elevated through the way how they are closer or not so close to their customers by adding human beings or not. And therefore, we see ourselves very much as an enabler on that journey to help our clients to differentiate themselves in the moment of truth, if you want. With that said, well, why Omnius? Well, Omnius, we really combine deep domain understanding and technology. And we are convinced, and that's been also our very positive experience with Unica, that at the very end, it's really about fixing a business problem and not a technology problem. AI was by far too long stuck on the technical side without, having a decent discussion of, well, how do I use it in a specific business problem, in a specific business use case. And that is the mission of our company, really. Let's talk about business. Let's talk about automating the claims process from a domain perspective, and we're going to take over the technical side of the whole thing. And that's why we want to reduce the complexity to the real expert question, to the domain expert question, and not technical question. And that's what we as Omnius want to achieve, and we do this based upon where the customer stood when we got engaged, we together optimize it, and then we elevate it in our platform. So we don't want to dictate a new process. We take the customer where he or she is, and we grab him to, in order to support him in the best possible way he is.
And I think the Omnius platform is a very powerful enabler for digitization and automation of claims end-to-end in multiple lines of business. We started with P&C insurance, but there is also the opportunity to apply the same process automation templates also to health insurance. Unica is the largest health insurer in Austria, so this is definitely a step that we are considering to take next. And I think it's very important from an insurer's perspective to, if you look at the possibilities to actually increase efficiency in our core, and I think that's a priority for every insurer in Europe at the moment, just to keep costs under control, to better manage claims, as well as to delight the customers. I think there is no alternative to actually think about how we can improve claims management, how we can improve actually the moment of truth for every of our clients. When it comes to claims payment, then we definitely need to actually take one step ahead and really take it to the next level. That was actually what Omnius helped Unica with, to enable that really paradigm shift in the way we think about claims, about the processes, about reinventing the processes enabled by technology. But in the first place, we really had to rethink our processes, as well as actually also the technological footprint and frameworks where we can integrate Omnius. It's not starting with a digital first core IT system. It's also possible to start with current and very old legacy systems in place. There is a lot of interoperability and interaction possible. So I think there is actually, what we've learned is it's only about doing it. It's only about getting started. And I think we are only at the beginning to fully leverage the potential of Omnius platform at Unica, which will actually enable us to really improve both efficiency as well as delight our customers. And the initial feedback from our customers, we get a 4.8 rating on a 5-star scale for the processes that have already been enabled and digitized by Omnius. So I think that's also a proof point of the success of that project.
Well, thank you very much, Andreas, and thank you very much. We have a booth here, so if you're interested, I'm happy to talk to you and go further into the details. Thank you very much, and thanks to you, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.